ring the bell, and then we can say the refuge prayer. Do you have these? Okay. So we'll say the refuge prayer 3 times. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. Hi, I'm Daniel. I had this idea that I wanted to give a talk here, and I thought about it for a while, and then I just thought, well, I'll just ask. And the answer was, why not? I think that why not is a very powerful answer to questions, and I think more often we should say why not to things instead of just saying no for no reason, which I think we do a lot of the time. So anyway, I asked if I could give this talk, and the answer was why not, and I thought, all right, well, I probably got time to think about it. It's certainly not going to be soon that they'll ask me to do it, and then 6 days ago, Matt asked me to come do it, so so I thought, oh, well, I guess it's urgent then. So the title of my talk is Everything I Need to Know I Learned from the Rolling Stones, and I think people are going to wonder, if they are familiar with 50-year-old music, people are going to wonder if there are a lot of Buddhist themes in the Rolling Stones, and I have a few things to say about it. I'm in Buddhist Facebook groups with people I don't know, and I don't recommend that. It's not a good use of my time, but in one of those I saw a post, and someone said, I've been studying Buddhism for many years, and everything I've learned can be summed up in one Rolling Stones song. And I thought, oh, that could be a talk idea. Way to bring in things people can relate to, 50-year-old music. But I think it's very popular music, and I think people do remember it today. So the guy that posted that, he had a very specific song he was going to try to make people think of, and it's not the song that came to my mind, but it is this, is You Can't Always Get What You Want. And everybody that read this post thought of that song immediately, except for me. That's not what I thought of. But I think it's about our attachment to things, and I think it's about heartbreak too. I believe he's in a wedding. He's at a wedding, and he's in love with the bride, but it's not his wedding, so he has to be very sad. But I think we fixate on the things we want a lot. And so, yeah, that's going to distract me. So that is a very Buddhist message too, because we fixate on the things we want. If you have kids like me, then you know that sometimes your kids ask for things, and sometimes when you tell them no, they just flip out. They just don't know how to handle it because they fixate so hard. So last night, my daughter really wanted me to take her to Culver's. She's 11. And she said, Dad, can we go to Culver's? And I said, no. And then she was pouting the whole drive home, which is almost an hour. She was pouting the whole drive home. And it's just because she fixated so much on that thing she wanted to go to. And I think that as adults, we fixate on that too. We don't always get what we want, of course. I think we all know that. But at the same time, life goes on. So I really wanted a certain promotion at work, and I got passed over for the promotion, but that was okay. I was still going to my job, and later on I got a different promotion, so it was really okay. And I'm thinking back 2 years ago, I got divorced, and it was one of those divorces that's really hard, and it was really hard on me, but I got through it. It wasn't really what I wanted. Well, so there's a really bad joke about divorces, and I'm going to tell it to you. It's, why is divorce so expensive? Because it's worth it. So in that sense, and I've been divorced, so I can say that. So in that sense, it was what I wanted, but that wasn't what I wanted for a marriage, to have a painful divorce. It's not what anyone wants. So, but I'm okay. I made it through, right? And I think constantly in life we don't get what we want, and that's okay, because the truth is that we're all really okay. So now I'm going to talk about the song I actually thought of. That was the song everyone but me in the group immediately thought of when this poster said, all of Buddhism can be summed up in a Rolling Stones song. They thought of, you can't always get what you want. But I thought of a different song, and that is this one. It's called Sympathy for the Devil, and it's literally about the devil. Satan is the narrator, and he tells a story about how he has tried to make the world a worse place throughout history. And so we might be thinking, there's not a Buddhist message there, but that's okay because I found one. But briefly, I know one piece of trivia about the song that I'm going to share with you. And I fact-checked it. I looked on Wikipedia, so it is true. Towards the end of the song, he says, I shouted out who killed the Kennedys. And when the song was written, the line was, I shouted out who killed Kennedy. And between when it was written and when it was recorded, Bobby Kennedy was shot and killed. That's spooky, right? So the song was changed to Who Killed the Kennedys. And obviously, there's nothing Buddhist about that, but I think it's really fascinating. So towards the end of the song, he says, just as every cop is a criminal and all the sinners are saints. And I think that tells us something about duality, especially how we put people in categories in our heads. And a lot of times that doesn't really work. But more than that, there's a line that really means a lot to me. And I'm trying to talk long enough to get there so you can hear it in the song. And we'll see if we make it. But it is, I watched with glee while your kings and queens fought for 10 decades for the gods they made. I watched with glee while your kings and queens fought for 10 decades for the gods they made. And so when I think of that, it's going to distract me too. So when I think of that for the gods they made, I think that Mick Jagger, when he wrote the song, he wasn't thinking what I'm thinking. He was thinking they made up gods and they're killing each other for them, I think. But the thing about music is I can take whatever meaning I want and it's still meaningful, because that's what's so cool about music, I think. So when I hear, I watched with glee while your kings and queens fought for 10 decades for the gods they made, I relate it to us. And I think of, we are the kings and queens, and we make gods, and we fight over them. And by that I don't mean gods as in religion, I mean that we attach incredible importance to things that aren't always important. So I'm going to give some examples of this and talk about them for a while, and then we'll see if we can together kind of think of some more, and hopefully, otherwise we're going to have a really long meditation today. So, so a big god that we make is one we all make together, and that is money. I saw a picture of a dollar bill, and somebody had written in pen on it, I'm a piece of paper and I control your whole life. And I think that's true, right? Money is just paper that we're exchanging for goods and services. Or more often now, it's just numbers in a computer that we move to another computer. And it only has meaning that we give it, but since we've all decided to give it meaning, it has that. But deeper than that, I think labels are the gods we make. And I'm going to talk about the labels we put on people specifically. So we will put labels on other people, and we will say that person is not like me, therefore they're bad. Or that person doesn't think the way I do, therefore they're bad. I think people say this is a really divisive time in history. I will leave it to older people than me to say if it's always been this way or not. I tend to think it's always been, that everyone thinks this is the most divided time in history. So I don't know, but I know that we sure do label the people that don't think the same way we do. And I think we're all guilty of that. And we think that person is not like me. But really the truth is that that person is like you. We all are suffering. We're all in some sorrow. We're all suffering. We're all struggling with impermanence. We're all watching people we care about grow old and die. We're growing old. I have gray in my beard and I can't run as fast as I used to, so I know impermanence all the time. And you would think that that would make us be kind to each other, but a lot of times we aren't kind to each other. We look for reasons to not like each other sometimes even. I'm going to quote the poet Charles Bukowski said, "We're all going to die, all of us. What a circus." You would think that would make us love each other, but it doesn't. We're flattened by trivialities, and we're eaten up by nothing. And I think that is a really powerful quote, and it has a lot of meaning, that we just make enemies out of other people. We look for more things to disagree with sometimes, and things like social media really don't help with that either. And now we can watch news that will only tell us things we agree with, and that is really poisonous too. But I also want to talk about the labels that we put on ourselves. So I can label myself and say, I've had 2 divorces, therefore I'm bad at relationships. Maybe I am and maybe I'm not. I hope I'm not. But the worst thing is that if I have that label in my head and then I make it true, that is really terrifying, that I could cling to that label. And we can tell ourselves how different we are from others, but really we're not. And I can put labels on myself like I'm a liberal, or I try to be a good dad, or any of those things, but the truth is that we're more than the labels we put on ourselves. You aren't your past or your job or any of the labels you put on yourselves, and these are just gods we've made, and what we do and how we engage the world springs out of who we think we are. And we aren't our baggage and our feelings, and we don't have to live as though we are those things, because we are not. We're, at our core, we're basic goodness. We're just Buddha nature, and even the thoughts that come through our head are just coming through. They're nothing to cling to, and they're going to come and they're going to go. And I think that we forget how much power we have over our lives if we can just put down the things we think about ourselves and be with what is. So I'd like to open it up and hear what other people have to say about gods we've made. If anyone has any examples other than the ones I came up with, which was money and labels, what are some other gods we've made? Property, so mine and not mine.
Yeah.
Right.
Or and even to the fact where, I grew up in that era where you weren't anybody unless you owned property. And the property you owned labeled you in that right spot. So.
Okay. Like homeowners are better than renters, right? Right, I think some people still think that way. And I think even like there was a housing bubble because a lot of people thought they had to be homeowners. And so they took bad deals and they got in big trouble. Anyone else? think of reputation. So like, I want people to think I'm funny, or I want people to think I'm a good dad or whatever, and it doesn't really matter if people think those things, but man, I really want it.
Yeah. I always had this pride of myself of being like an extrovert, and then I started getting with the Buddhist community, and a lot of the Buddhist community is putting label here, but introvert. And they would talk to me being an extrovert like it was a bad thing. And so suddenly I was like, oh, my God became a devil, suddenly. Until then, I realized that I was pretty much well balanced with but then at that point it didn't matter,
And definitely our literal capital G gods, our isms, our religious ideologies, for sure.
People kill each other for those, right?
tradition, I guess, you could say, could be.
Right, things are supposed to be this way.
It's supposed to be
Right.
this way. I went to a Buddhist ceremony and they actually had music with guitars and drums, and how many people, that's not supposed to be like that,
Yeah, I played music from YouTube, I know.
Yeah.
I think, gosh, a famous person said, and I don't know who said it, they said, what messes us up the most is our picture in our heads of how things are supposed to be. And I like that a lot, and I feel bad that I don't know who said it, but I think that's really true. I think we get so lost with our ideas of how things are supposed to be a certain way.
Do you think we know how to exist without putting labels on things? Because I think as like a human race, we do that. Like we very quickly try to say this is this and this is this and this is this. So
I think the trick is to know when the labels don't serve us very well. And like, there's an old Buddhist story about mistaking a rope for a snake, and I think that you need to know when there's a snake, but at the same time, we don't need to be scared of everything that's shaped like a snake, right? So we need to have some labels for things, but we shouldn't let them own us. We shouldn't let our ideas and our thoughts own us. And I think that's the difference that we're really thinking about.
How attached to the label we are.
Exactly.
And
your attachment to that.
and wherever you put in that label, if it steps outside that label,
It's not being so. We always think about things as being so cut and dry, like it has really sharp edges around it. But if we just kind of blur everything a little bit and let things sort of seep out from themselves, like let there be a chance for something to be other than what it is, or allow ourselves to understand a little more, it'd be easier to get inside the label and be like, well, maybe it's not the way I quite thought it was. Like, I guess kind of going to the idea of Buddha nature, like what's the potential of what it could be other than this?
Yeah, labels are, to always remember that labels are, they're handy shortcuts that allow us to communicate, but that is all they are. They're not any sort of deeper indication of anything else. They allow us to communicate with each other quickly, but they do not do anything to get close to their nature.
I think about that. It makes me think of people who want their coal mining jobs back. Like people are coal miners, and there's no other possibility. Like
It's what I am.
it's what I am. Like
Yeah.
I'm so attached to that is what I am. That is what brings pride. That's what brings my stability. That's what serves my family. That's what we've always been. Like so rigidly attached to one way of way something is that it gets in the way of seeing possibility or being anything else at all, or even taking a chance on anything else at all.
I hadn't even thought about that. Like
Yeah.
at one point when I heard about the coal miners, and I thought, well, why don't they teach them, if they're gonna take away the job, teach them renewable resources?
Well, yeah.
But then, like you said, they get so into that.
That's
the way they-
also a really good example because it's not a very good job, right? It doesn't pay all that well, and they're going to die before they're in their mid-50s probably. But still, they think I'm a coal miner, so that's what I have to do. So I need the coal jobs to come back. Yeah.
I think like a lot of jobs where your identity is so attached, like farmers are like that. Like, why would I grow soybeans when I grow corn? Well, because the earth is changing dark. This is dark doesn't work that way anymore. I think jobs is definitely, especially in this world where we don't. You used to be able to get one job and it would give you health benefits you can have until you were 72 and retire. You can't do that at all. You need 3 jobs to make things meet for a while. Like, it's all gig economy and skills and
it's
not
interesting,
career.
like what she said earlier, is how we as humans do that. Because how many times do you go to a social event where you don't know people, so you're meeting new people? And what's one of the first questions asked of you? What do you do? What do you do? That was one of the things that just excited me when I first started coming into the Buddhist community. Is we would like, all go to Panera or whatever, and not once. I think it was like 2 or 3 months before anybody even knew I was a massage therapist. You know, because nobody asked, and it was not like that didn't define me. You know, of what it was.
I work at the IRS, and I'm very happy when people don't ask me what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So,
Makes you feel better, Daniel. I would have never guessed that. Honestly, I mean,
But see, it just shows a label that we put on to IRS, you know.
yeah.
Right. People have, right? You know, but it is a company that is giving lots of people jobs and work. And
I also appreciate sort of thinking about the idea of not self when you think about the labels you give yourself or other people where, you know, at any given moment, I might be in my yard, I might be a gardener, or I might be a dharma teacher, or I might be my job, or I might be an expert Windex user. Like at any moment, I could be something completely different, but how I identify with it is what I am at the time. So I had a friend who taught me a lot about when people ask you, what do you do? You don't tell them your job. You tell them something you do that you like, so you turn that right around. You have to tell them what you do.
Yes.
And so, like, as a job, you can tell them what you do in the rest of your life and start off on that foot. They'll probably ask right away, well, are you that? I'm like, no, that's not what I do for a living. That's what I have to do, though. So,
But I do it.
I do it. It's interesting that you mentioned like working for the IRS, we always attach, and going back to the coal and farming, like, there's a big idea of attaching self-worth to so many of those labels, parts of us. Like, there's parts of us that we don't feel good about, there's parts of us that we feel great about, but sometimes people don't ask you about the parts you like.
right.
But remembering that for myself, or, you know, like we were just saying, just if I remember that for myself, and make sure I try to apply that to others as well, for things. We talk about like the jobs development. Because one of the big ones, I mean, for years, I mean, it's starting to finally, hopefully, I mean, there's still some instances, but just male, female, boy, girl,
Yep.
man, woman. I mean,
there's the label I put on myself, and that is that I don't know how to wrap gifts. So my 11-year-old daughter has been wrapping Christmas presents for me since she was 5 because I tell myself I can't do it because when I do it, it looks like garbage, and then she does it, and it's like, you know, she uses an amount of tape that I can't believe she uses that little, and it looks like professional. So it's a label I put on myself, and it's okay, she likes to do it, but I probably could wrap gifts. So maybe that label doesn't serve me very well.
That actually reminds me of something Alicia said a long time ago about how do you know where to follow those things? Like, you say, I could wrap gifts. I was talking to my mom about something like this too. Do you want to wrap gifts? Like, do you ever want to learn how to wrap a gift? You could follow that thread if you wanted to. Or you could just let go of the way you feel about it and be like, gifts. That's really the way it is. I don't wrap gifts. And you can follow that though if you want to. If you want to learn how to wrap gifts, you can. But you also don't have to. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do.
Or you could wrap gifts and they look like garbage and
That
fires.
too.
Your signature, like, oh, that's
Right. That's a Sharpie original.
Or you just go out and buy a bag with tissue paper and throw it in.
There you go. One time I wrapped all the gifts on Christmas as octopuses for my parents. I did not know what to do about that, but I was really proud of it. Not to get off on a tangent, but
That's amazing.
That's quite a tune. Like eight tentacles on there? Yeah.
What were they made out of? Paper?
they're like wrapping paper, and then you just kind of you regularly wrap it, but then you put the tentacles on it, and then you get those 3-hole punch page reinforcers from the little suckers.
Wow.
I was just creating that here.
Sometimes when you give really practical, boring gifts, you have to make it look
Maybe
good.
that's what it was. I was giving her a crop top.
Like I gave my dad some shop towels one year for Christmas, and I had to make it into something. I think it was a penguin or something. I did the same thing. It's more interesting for me.
Okay. Anyone else? Can anyone be open about any labels they put on themselves? Like my Christmas gift thing?
Oh, those kind of labels.
Well, I think like an introvert, I label myself that, and so I tell myself, well, okay, if I'm an introvert, then I'm not expected to be social or talk to somebody. It's okay if I just sneak out and don't talk to anybody because I'm an introvert, and that's okay, and it's allowed. But it's really keeping me from growing because I'm hiding behind that.
Yeah.
I label myself an introvert too. What am I doing over here? I don't know. So.
Yeah, labels can, that's why you have to hold them so loosely because they can cause a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the label, a dharma teacher or something. Yeah, that can lead to feelings of like you said, what am I doing here? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, people are gonna look at me and think I know a thing or two, and they don't.
And then also the goal is to know less and less.
Right, and to acknowledge that I know less, and that's a good thing. So, labels can be handy, but they can also cause existential problems. So you gotta just, you grab them when they're handy, and then you let go most of the time, really. Most of the time you don't need them, really.
Yeah, for years I thought I had a label on myself. I was really bad with reading. And, probably because I was told that, or that's just, why is this happening to you? And I would just, I'm bad with reading. I'm just not a money person, balancing a checkbook. If there are checks in there, that means there's money, right? I mean, that was what I did but like you said, though, it doesn't mean you can't learn and bust out of that label. And then it was just a matter, and it wasn't that I was bad with money. I just didn't like it. I didn't like accounting. I didn't like numbers. I didn't, that's what it turned out to be. It's like, really, it's kind of tedious and stuff. But then once I bust out of it and stuff, I figured out, wow, I'm living a little less stress here because, I'm on budget.
When I worked at Unity Temple as the youth director for the Christian side of things, that was difficult for me because I'm not Christian. I did that for a really long time. And towards the end of when we worked in there, I had realized at some point that the expectations I thought others had of me to be sort of pious or nice were wearing on me a little bit. And all I really wanted to do was be kind of gross and have sex and say fuck a lot. Not around the kids. about my life that I felt like I couldn't tell people. Not that I'm like disgusting or anything, but there's just a lot of ideas I have about progressive living that I didn't feel like I could really express them to myself. And now that I don't really work in that kind of big religious institution, it's like, oh, nothing actually changed. I'm just freer to sort of, I'm free from a label that I was using as a shell, or that I thought others were viewing me through. So it's sort of nice to be able to be free. There's really nothing different other than
What people are
or what I thought people were projecting onto me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really great.
It's
It's
hard to
hard to
see
see
where
that.
that happens, yeah.
It's unfortunate that will give your, private personal life. Like,
Yeah.
that you had to feel that way.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's why I seemed like, well, you have to kind of, present that at work maybe, but for that to go through to your private life.
Right. It kind of got to the way I was making decisions about things. It's not good. Yeah, gross. But
Yeah.
All right, well, I will lead a guided meditation that I wrote this afternoon.
that's serious. Now you know all the secrets.
Until today, I was just gonna steal one, but I just got inspired, so I wrote one. So, let's see. This is called Mind Like a Diamond Meditation. So, just wrote it today, so I don't have it memorized. Yes, yes. Oh, no.
There we go. Can you still see okay?
Yeah.
I'll get you the tortilla.
So, sit comfortably and become settled, at ease and fully present. I like to put my hands in the cosmic mudra, which is like this, and rested in my lap. I think it's important to have a plan for your hands, or they can be a distraction, at least they are for me. Close your eyes. Take some big, deep breaths and let each one release gently. Give yourself a moment to become calm and to be at rest. Now, become present and pay close attention to the world around you. Now visualize your mind as a vast diamond, a giant diamond. It's clear, bright, and most importantly, reflective. Picture all your ideas and your emotions and your baggage and memories being reflected in the sides of that diamond. The diamond just reflects them without judgment or reaction. feelings, distractions, they arise and they're seen as reflections on the surface of the diamond. They just come and go. All our thoughts and feelings and distractions are just passing through. They're images with no power to harm us. They're like reflected light. And we're just going to sit, resting with this mind like a diamond for a while. take a few more big, heavy, deep breaths, and then open your eyes and return your attention to the world around you. I hope everyone enjoyed this talk and meditation. I have to thank Bob, Matt, and Pete for letting me do this, and we'll do our bodhicitta dedication now. So 3 times we'll say this. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion, unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion, unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion, unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. Thank you, everyone.